So, last night I was having trouble sleeping, so I put on a film I haven't seen before called Zookeeper with Kevin James. And I want Kevin James to write me a public apology for me accidentally watching that entire film. It was so fucking bad. Like, oh, they, uh, they had everybody there editing and directing it, and then they had a premiere, and no one turned to the next guy next to him and said, "Hey, this fucking sucked." No one did that. So yeah, I want a written apology. Um, oh, by the way, in that film, Joe Rogan's in the film. I forget Joe Rogan dabbled in acting originally. So shout out to Joe Rogan. I mean, he played basically Joe Rogan in that film. So anyway, welcome to the Fantasy Tippler. This is episode 2. And hopefully, we'll get better as we go along. We have in the glass on the rock something that I kind of discovered because I'm kind of going backwards on my bourbon taste instead of trying to get all the tater sauce that's out there. We have Jack Daniel, hashtag not sponsor, Jack Daniel Single Barrel Rye. So if you're like me and you're a big bourbon drinker, you probably had too many bad nights taking shots of Jack with your beers or drinking too many Jack and Coke that you probably faded away from Jack Daniel for a long time, as I did, most of my 20s. So lately, I have gotten back into the Jack Daniel program because they do make good brown juice. Their single barrel program is really cool, and I got a bunch of samples from one of the local marketing guys that lives here around me, and I'm just loving it, man. And so anyway, Jack Daniel single barrel rye, great value, great rye. I mean, it's really really juicy, got nice spice to it, a lot of cloves and cinnamon. Not as much brown sugar, but like that's not something I would expect, right? So anyway, all right, fantasy football. It's done. All right, let's get excited. Fantasy football news. So the big news this week was obviously Damian Williams is opting out of 2020 season for COVID-19 reasons, and that makes Clyde Edwards-Helaire basically the starting running back. So what's the fantasy implication of that? He definitely jumped to the first round now. I originally, because I don't deal with rookies, I originally put him in the third round trying to draft either your low end RB2 or high RB3. And that was going to be my strategy going in. However, with the Kansas City offense being the way it is, and the fact that Patrick Mahomes wanted him, and there's really nobody else of significance behind him, first rounder for sure. So when do you take him? Like, what's his value now? So let's talk about that. I would not take him before Michael Thomas. No matter what draft position you're drafting in, and definitely don't fucking take him the first 5, pick. He's unproven in NFL. He's a fucking rookie. Don't forget that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. So, Michael Thomas, do not draft before Michael Thomas. I would take Michael Thomas over him. However, I would take him before Devontae Freeman because I am fading on Devontae Freeman fast. I was I had him in a lot of my leagues last year. He did what he was supposed to do. I just can't get over. He's not worth the first round draft capital to me. Like I like him on the turn. Like if you have the 10 to 12 spot, you get that top 12, RB1, and you get like basically the wide receiver 2, and you're off to the races. That's a good draft strategy to me. So after Michael Thomas, before Devontae Adams. And if we're still working on our website. If you want to look at the rankings, I have him currently ranked at running back 8. And I have a lot of people ahead of him that would surprise people. Like I have Derrick Henry above him, just because of the way this season is going to work. I'd rather have a veteran than a rookie, but I do have Clyde Edwards ahead of Joe Mixon, I have him ahead of. Uh, I think I have him ahead of Clean Drake, um, Nick Chubb, just because of that offense that he's coming into, and also like if you're a fanatic like I am, like Andy Reid, whatever offensive team is you want, he produces some very good RB1s, and I trust that more than I normally would with any other coaches. Cause I love Andy Reid. I'm so glad he won a Super Bowl. So, all right. So talked about like backups like Deontay. So who's going to be the backup if you're doing handcuff? Like Deontay Washington right now, it's kind of like I think he's going to be like the go-to backup. So if you're big on handcuff, Washington should be your pick above Darwin Thompson or Daryl Williams. I mean, here's my thing. He had a chance to prove himself last year, and he didn't. So, I mean, you look at other handcuff running backs like Tony Pollard, Chase Edmonton. Um, there's a couple other ones I'm blanking on right now because I've been drinking. But those guys, when they came out, they excelled. So they proved themselves at the handcuff. So DeAndre Watson is not worth a draft pick. Do not draft him. Do not waste a draft pick on him. Let him sit on the waiver wire until we see what happens at the start of the season. What's next? Antonio Brown. I can't believe I'm fucking talking about him still. Yeah, so Antonio Brown, his strategy worked. He got a fucking... They solved his issue. Like, he got an 8-game suspension. I think what's like the greatest... I don't know what camp was, like if it was his camp or an NFL camp was responsible for this, but this benefited AB. He's serving an 8-game suspension without having to be on a team, which I think is good. Holding like a player to an 8-game suspension and they can only serve it when they get onto a team, it's gonna kill that person's career. I don't know if that's part of the new CBA agreement, but like that was really good. Basically, like, so if your team in need of a wide receiver, you can sign him, and just basically, hopefully, he's going to be like the guy that gets you through the playoff to the Super Bowl. So I'm still sticking with my Houston Texans are going to make a big bid on him. But once again, do not draft Antonio Brown. If he's not going to be available until week 9, fuck that guy. You have to focus, when you're drafting, you have to focus on just your first 6 to 8 weeks. You get to the playoff in the first 6 to 8 weeks. And the season changes so much that you don't want to waste a fucking draft pick, a valuable draft pick, on somebody that you can't drop because you wasted a draft pick on him. That's not going to be available until week 8 or 9. Fuck that, dude. Don't fucking do that. God, Antonio Brown gets me. That's good brown juice. But if somebody else drafts him, I promise you they're going to put him on a waiver wire before week 8. When would I look at picking him up? Just an FYI. Week 6, depending on if he's with the team. If he's with the team and he's practicing with the team, but he can't play with the team, that means he's getting those reps and he's getting that familiarity with the quarterback. Week 6, I may, if I have room, I may do it a week 6. That I feel comfortable doing that. So so mid-October, fuck it, Other news, moving on. Devin Funchess is out tonight. Devin Funchess? Why is this in my notes? Who fucking put this in my notes? Devin Funchess, basically supposed to be wide receiver 2 for Green Bay Packers, up and out for, the COVID-19 reason. Fuck, who cares? I mean, Devontae Adams goes up like a notch. Whatever. God, that guy was so fucking worthless. Why did that even do? All right. Somebody had asked me via Facebook a while back, earlier this week, about Tulu versus Ryan Fitzpatrick. What happens if Tulu starts the season? So this is not technically fantasy related; it's more NFL management related. I hope Ryan Fitzpatrick starts the year because he's a proven veteran, and if you're the GM for Miami or the head coach for Miami, Like, you spent a lot of capital and a high draft pick on Tulu to become your franchise quarterback. Why would you risk injuring him the first 5 weeks of football? Why? Like, rookie quarterbacks, we'll talk about this in a minute, take a long time to develop, and it doesn't normally happen the first year. Very rarely it happens the first year. He's coming in with an injury-prone label. I don't even know. I think he's fully recovered. He's definitely being cleared. I just use Ryan Fitzpatrick. Just use him. He's a great veteran. He's a great, like, he developed great quarterback underneath him. So, like, just use Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's not fuck around, all right? God. Yeah, like, honest to God, I would ride Ryan Fitzpatrick till the wheels fall off. I mean, why not? Whatever. The last thing before we started recording, I found out that LeSean McCoy was signed by Tampa Bay. Awesome. Good for LeSean McCoy. Now, I know he technically got a ring with the Kansas City Chiefs, even though he was inactive. And if he's a player like I know he is, he's a star running back for most of his career. He's been in the NFL for 11 years, FYI. Like, he wants to get on a team and play a fucking Super Bowl and win the ring. And that's why I think, he went to Tampa. He's like, Tom Brady is going to make a real run for it. If he makes it, then he gets a ring for real. And I think, if he actually wins a ring with Tampa Bay, I think he'll just put his, like, Kansas City Chiefs ring in the closet and just wear his Tampa Bay ring most of the time. So, right. So, I want to take a couple of minutes and talk about drafting rookies, which is kind of a touchy spot with some people. So here's my opinion on drafting rookies. I used to draft rookies a lot. And, it's my deep sleepers. I talked about this in the last episode, like deep sleeper, value pick. And I was constantly let down. And I had to watch some fantasy football news, talk to some people that I really like to kind of break me of those bad habits. And here's where I'm at. I don't draft rookies for the most part, and especially this year. So let's talk about that. So drafting rookies, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Like, don't buy the shiny new hot thing that's on the counter. Don't do that. And here's why not. So let's start with tight end. Tight end, notoriously, never. I wouldn't even draft a second-year tight end. Like, tight end take 2 to 3 years, sometimes 4 years to develop. Like, case in point, Mark Andrews was like an explosive stud this year. He was nothing the years before. There have been a couple that really broke out, like the from the get-go, Gronkowski and the Kelce's of the world. Those are like 1 in a million. But like even George Kittle did nothing his first year, and then he broke out. So like never draft rookie tight end ever. It's just a complicated position. I love tight ends, FYI, one of my favorite positions in football. It's just a complicated position that you don't want to. You just don't want to waste your draft capital on them. I mean, like, sure, if they like fucking go ham, like week 8 and 9, yeah, put them on your bench from the waiver wire, but not before then. Quarterbacks. So last year I actually drafted Kyler Murray, and I regretted it. I really thought he was going to be, kind of have a breakout season like, Griffin when he was drafted by the Skins back when. And so don't draft rookie quarterback either. I know some people are going to try to draft Joe Burrow. Don't do it. Let somebody else step on that landmine. Rookie quarterbacks, even if they come from a top, Power 5, like high offensive school, like it's everything's faster in the NFL. It's more complicated. It takes a while to get to feet. I mean, even the famous Peyton Manning himself threw like a record interception. That thought had been broken. Record interception his rookie year. And like to give you, I've got a couple numbers here to kind of help you get an idea of what's going on. So even though there are some exceptions, like Deshaun Watson, average points per game his rookie season was about 24. So that's fucking good. That we should have drafted Deshaun Watson. That's why he's still like a stud to this day. FYI, one of my sleepers. But Dak Prescott, 3 years, first 3 years in the NFL, 16 to 18 average points per game. He had a great year last year, and I drafted him very late. A lot of my team, and it was fucking worth it. So he just came into his own, had a great offensive coordinator, had a really good offensive line, which is something, by the way, if you like, I'm a big believer in defensive line and offensive line and how they affect fantasy score. There's a guy called Ross Tucker on Instagram and Twitter. I can't remember his handle off the top of the head, but talking to Ross Tucker, and he's just a former offensive lineman. He gives really good reads, and his grades on the offensive line will really help you kind of judge if you're stuck between two running backs or quarterbacks, like where to go to with them. So back to the quarterbacks, like Lamar Jackson last year, average fantasy points per game 9.8. 9.8. 2018, 9.8. That's fucking bad. But then he blew up. And that's why I drafted him in like the 10th round. But I knew he was going to blow up. Listen to your fantasy football analyst. Drink some bourbon. Have a good time. So last year, I 2 leagues I drafted Kyler Murray. I went against my own rule. Kyler Murray had some great games, but he didn't have any blow it out of the water games. Like his average points per game last year was 17.8. So I think I've kind of proved that, don't draft rookie quarterbacks. Wide receivers. Okay, wide receivers are a little bit tricky because you do have wide receivers that put up big points, but it's never in the first half of the season, ever. Like A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, those are great examples. Like they broke out after the second half of the season. So never waste a draft pick on a rookie wide receiver. Ever. Now, there's still some where I'll do it for 13th, 14th round. Fine. If I'm comfortable holding that wide receiver for the entire year, fine. But first 12 draft picks, do not waste a fucking draft pick on somebody that's not going to produce until week 8. Why would you do that? And more than likely, depending on how your season starts off, you're going to have to drop that guy and try to grab somebody else. And I promise you, other people in your league are going to do the exact same thing. DK Metcalf last year was drafted in the 10th round in one of my leagues. I got him on the waiver wire in week 5. And he was, boom, got me to the championship. But, yeah, don't fucking draft rookie wide receivers. They're going to be either available on the waiver wire come halfway through the year, or they're going to burn a hole on someone's bench, and it's going to make somebody else available for you on a waiver wire. So, yeah, don't waste a draft pick on them. Running backs. Okay, this is where I kind of differ. Running backs, just because the coaches are more likely to go to hot hand if they have preseason and training camp and spring training. If you're a rookie running back, you come in and you blow the veterans out of the water, because you're going to get the rock either the start of the season or within the first 3 weeks, and that's worth a mid-round pick to me. And also this is where handcuffs come into factor. If you have a hot hand, but they go with the veteran out of respect, which you should do, and the veteran gets hurt week 2 or 3, that guy the rookie running back becomes very valuable at that point. So that's why I'm a little bit more. I would rather draft a rookie running back than a rookie wide receiver anytime, and that's what I prefer to do my last couple of rounds, because I don't mind dropping them. I mean, by week 2, week 3, nothing's really happened, and the vet is doing good. It doesn't hurt me to drop them. Now, however, because it's crazy times right now, and it's 2020, and with the whole COVID thing, I'm fading on all rookies in general, all of them. I will still keep my eye on, and I will still draft rookies. But Jonathan Taylor, for example, not take him in the 4th, not take him in the 5th. I would wait until the 7th to take him in a redraft league. Here's why. because there was no spring training and there's no preseason game, um, the veterans are going to have a huge leg up over the rookie. The rookies are either going to come out and they're going to get hurt, they're going to come out and look bad, but it's so important to do spring training, uh, like training camp and preseason. To get that rapport with the quarterback, get that rapport with the coaches, and it's just not happening this year. So I'm I'm really fading on all rookie running backs. Like I'm taking them much much later if they're available. Otherwise, I'm avoiding them. But like players like fucking Matt Breida, like I want him on the fucking waiver wire. However, he may sneak into my draft if there's nobody else available. Because I'd rather take him over a rookie running back. It's like, for example, I get James Conner, and I somehow missed on Benny Snell, and it's like, round 13 or something. I'm not taking Farland. I'd rather take Matt Breida just in case something happens with Jordan Howard. So, yeah. So that's pretty much today's chat. Yeah, please find me on YouTube. Subscribe to the Fantasy Tippler channel. Like, make comments below. And if you have a mock draft you need someone to participate in, I love mock drafting. Please shoot me an email at thefantasytippler.com. And I will talk to you guys later.